All right, YouTubes. I laughed a little bit in my head today at the irony of some of my recent thoughts that I have shared with you concerning HEX and the OA account. Potentially, I was asking the community if the OA account should stake more, taking the effective supply of HEX to the market, making it lower to the effective market, I guess. By a lot of this was the recognition that while only 3.69% of HEX inflation is paid to stakers, because the OA account absorbs such a large percentage of the total HEX and assumably not a part of the actual supply and demand and effect on the market. And would this, in effect, be too much interest? Because, for example, if only 10% of HEX is staked and 3.69% of HEX per year is given to the stakers, those 10% are getting 36.9% yearly inflation, and at the end of their stakes will be producing back theoretically on the market 36.9%. So in effect, for the price to stay the same, since supply increased 36.9%, 36.9% more demand would be needed. And I was asking the community, is this concerning? Do I have wrong assumptions? What's off here? What do you think about it? In a relatively short period of time, one day, partially, very much, I would say, because of the comments that I had, helped me speed up in my concern, or speed up my thought process concerning this, and ultimately decide that I'm not nearly as concerned about it, at least in the short term, because of the way things actually play out is different than I had intuited. Basically, all I did was do some pretend stakes myself, seeing how much HEX I would get if I staked for a year. And if you stake for a year, you get roughly 10% as of yesterday. You have to stake over 10 years to get the 36.9% effectively interest in your account. That's a very different picture than I had intuited. And what I find ironic is that while I was hypothesizing and wondering, should the OA stake over time, taking the payout per T-share, making the HEX per T-share rate lower, so you get less HEX per T-share, less supply is given to the market, making it easier theoretically for the, taking less supply, so then it takes less demand for the price to increase, is kind of what I was playing through. While I was thinking through this process, someone was running the good accounting function on the OA accounts ended stakes. While they, in effect, this guy is, as I understand it, his name is, his Telegram handle, as I understand it, is John Wick. Cool name, I think. John Wick was running good accounting functions on the OA accounts ended stakes, effectively taking off the market over 100,000 T-shares. So basically, your and my T-shares, the amount of HEX that we get per T-share is a function of the amount of total T-shares on the market. Your percentage of total T-shares is the percentage of that daily inflation rate that you get. So someone was basically doing the exact opposite of what I was wondering if should happen. And that's what I find ironic. And so now, I really want to watch. I want to see what's going to happen. HEX continues to be an interesting project to watch and learn from. And I want to see if I can draw any conclusions from this over time. Because over 100,000 T-shares are taken off the market, does price increase? Does it decrease? Is there no reasonable takeaway from this because it's too complicated or whatever, or at least too complicated for me to to pretend to understand the actual cause and effect of certain actions. There's very much more things going on, of course, in HEX than just the T-shares. So as price is going up, assuming that it came from the T-shares that were off the market, or the price went down and assuming it was because the T-shares that were off the market, I think, there's nuance and, recognition of, it's not, you be careful taking whatever takeaways you take from this. But I'm very interested to watch and see what happens. And like I said, I find it ironic and interesting, and continue to find, honestly, value in paying attention to HEX. Partially because it is, in my opinion, relatively original. There is, of course, nothing new under the sun, but at the same time, there are a little bit different takes on things, and the same thing being tried in a new way, a new combination of ideas. And I think HEX is relatively original in a number of ways, and I think I stand to benefit, if not just hypothesizing myself at seeing what I think would happen and finding out if in reality those things do happen. And as I've said before, currently I appreciate HEX as an investment opportunity. As watching its, for example, own take on store of value and how store of value, the program behind something intending to be a good store of value, should be. Is it a good take? How does human nature and greed in reality play out with this game? And it's fun to watch. And I think, while I very much, of course, would benefit from the price itself increasing, regardless of the price increasing or not, regardless of how this turns out in a monetary investment, I hope to benefit from the thought experiment itself, and hopefully the takeaways that they come away with, and hopefully the view of reality that I have because of following HEX. I think I find, honestly, value in itself. And anyway, the big news in HEX today, and the irony that I find in it when comparing to my recent concerns, and the exact opposite thing almost is happening. And anyway, I just had to post a video about it. So hope you're doing well. Best to you and your investments. And I say that recognizing investments are not just money. Hope you find meaning and purpose and value. And thanks for watching this video. Hope you have a great day.